Hello, it's a lovely good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television Main News. My name is Jeffrey Yambo to present. Our top stories in the news tonight: the enforcement of load shedding angers LUSAKA small-scale business owners. Opposition leaders accuse government of mismanaging the energy sector. Zambians mourn former KABWE Central Member of Parliament TUTWA NGULUBE. In international news, Liberian President WEAH faces criticism over his 2-month-long foreign trips. And in sports news, Netherlands beat USA to book quarterfinal place.
In our quest to save nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Good news, good news. The rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generational wealth is the way to go. House-grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years for sale at only 90 kwacha each, and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours, Monday to Friday, at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, opposite Hilltop Hospital.
Hello once again. We sincerely apologize for starting the news late. This is due to circumstances beyond our control. Another news in detail. The former ruling Patriotic Front party in the Central Province has received the death of the immediate past KABWE Central MP TUTWA NGULUBE with great shock. The former KABWE Central lawmaker died this morning at a cardiac hospital in Lusaka following a suspected heart attack. And speaking at Mr. NGULUBE's residence, PF Central Province Chairperson Billy Sichamba described the lawmaker as a gallant soldier and one of the finest legal brains for the party, whose services will be missed by the party. More in the following report.
Ushaishiva tukwabula TUTWA NGULUBE ngatakuliwa Edgar Lungu kuliani nani? Ushaishiva tukwabula TUTWA NGULUBE ngatakwali Prince Chireshe kuliani nani? Ushaishiva muno mukabwe ukwebati ngatamwali TUTWA NGULUBE ngatwaliseba na kumavoti ni nani?
The former ruling Patriotic Front PF party in Central Province has received the death of the immediate past KABWE Central Member of Parliament TUTWA NGULUBE with great shock.
He died in Lusaka at a cardiac hospital due to high blood pressure. And this news has come as a shock in the sense that we didn't know that he had hypertension.
Speaking at Mr. NGULUBE's residence, PF Central Province Chairperson Billy Sichamba says death has robbed a gallant soldier and one of the finest legal brains for the party.
he was a courageous lawyer, he was a courageous member of parliament, he was a courageous member of the Patriotic Front, and I think he was a great asset to the party. And this is why for us I think it's a big loss. If you look at most of the by-elections that we had where him and his colleague Honorable Makebi Zulu handled almost all the cases that were under Honorable TUTWA NGULUBE, we won all those cases, and so it comes as a great loss.
Few hours after word went round about his death, friends and relatives in KABWE trooped to his residence, saturated with somber mood, and inconsolably his mother could not hold back her tears.
Wachokama mukawe vantu vakondwera vantu kachokama TUTWA mukawe vakondwera vantu navo vafwenge iriko nyika navo vafwenge vakombe TUTWA navo vafwenge ikwiza yao ndawe ikwiza ndawe yao ya mwana wane na iwe TUTWA iwe mwareka vana vakati vatoko vakondwera vantu kachokama TUTWA mukawe vakondwera vantu navo vafwenge iriko nyika navo vafwenge vakombe TUTWA navo vafwenge ikwiza yao ndawe vangureka kukoma ine ntende vankoma ine ndeve nkoma ine ndeve nkoma ine ndeve nkoma ine ndeve ngumureka TUTWA.
The former KABWE Central lawmaker is survived with a wife and children. Reporting for Camnet TV News, I'm Petronella Msangulode.
Meanwhile, in LUSAKA province, Patriotic Front acting President Given Lubinda has described the death of Mr. NGULUBE as a shock to the party and will be greatly remembered for his great contribution to Zambian politics. Mr. Lubinda has also disclosed that the funeral gathering will be in KABWE.
In honor of the memory of our dear friend, our dear member, our good lawyer, and our hard-working colleague. We, all members of the Central Committee, have come to the residence where Honorable TUTWA NGULUBE was staying each time that he was in LUSAKA. And we thought we should come and announce this sad news to all citizens of Zambia at his residence. We've been in touch with the family and we've been informed that the funeral gathering will be in KABWE at his family residence. And members of the Central Committee are all traveling to KABWE to go and join the family in mourning our dear departed Honorable TUTWA NGULUBE. We've also been in touch with his colleagues in his law practice who are also going to secure the law firm as we put to rest Honorable TUTWA NGULUBE. I would like to appeal to all members of the Patriotic Front to mourn Honorable TUTWA NGULUBE with honor and dignity. He contributed immensely to the growth of this party. He handled a number of our legal cases, sometimes pro bono, and sometimes he just volunteered. We didn't invite him, he volunteered to represent us.
Small-scale business owners in Lusaka's Kalingalinga compound are in panic following the recent announcement made by the government that effective 15th December 2022, the country will be experiencing 6 hours of load shedding. In an interview with Camnet, SMEs involved in welding state that the situation will affect their business, which 95% of the time depends on electricity. They have since called on the government to come up with other means to address the issue. On Friday, Energy Minister Peter Kapala, while in Parliament, announced that the country, starting the 15th of December, is going to be experiencing a 6-hour load shedding due to the low water levels at the Kariba Dam. More in this report.
On Friday, while in Parliament, Energy Minister Peter Kapala announced that the country, starting the 15th of December, is going to be experiencing a 6-hour load shedding. This is due to the low water levels in Lake Kariba.
We anticipate that based on the water levels, this will translate into a load management regime starting on the 15th of December 2022 up to 6 hours daily until the water levels improve.
This announcement by the government has caused panic among small business owners, especially those who highly depend on electricity for their day-to-day operations. Some small business owners in Lusaka's Kalingalinga compound are already worried how their business will be affected. While the government begs for patience, small businesses are going under one after another.
Ivo vebi za kutako so at least wewe sio ina ngoto musuva anasi usiku tukavamile kufuma wote lazima chingira bana mamona na mzanga ndimo subira ndimo na family zishani ndimusebenza ngati nikuendesa malaiti angazi takubainisa ko half mtendere aendako lero kalingalinga nkalako 14 hours like mwabenzo chitira jatani kapulonga not konse not maybe kapaya mkame konse daily anasi mtendere kalingalinga maploti yasianako mwende pa engaunda kapani settlements ya bwera ku settlements not as not
The topic of load shedding is not new to the country's curriculum. In 2015, Zambia experienced a severe energy deficit and crisis on account of low water levels resulting in inadequate power generation. During the time he was in opposition, President Hakainde Hichilema criticized his predecessor, Edgar Lungu, on the issue and urged the government then to come up with a lasting solution to end load shedding in the country.
No more shedding, no more corruption. Every day. Anasi usiku malaiti yaenda usiku. Usiku. Otenda wazangaende kabwe. Ozironi tisibena wazapira tise. Oletina wazambaleta senza ko tu. Azota senza ko tu. Sasa na kusibena wazapira tawazapira soke. Nekaenda kuseni. Abwe 14 hours. Sasa na bwana. Sisi ngolo kola ngombo. Tunawena kimaso kuko. Sina wazafuna sasa. Mema ite kuzia hii. Ondra mapasa kudara unati. Sasa bwana.
As of November 28, 2022, water levels at Kariba Dam stood at 476.09 meters, representing 4.1% of usable water storage for power generation instead of the required 488.5 meters above sea level. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Opposition political parties have condemned the government for allegedly failing to manage the energy sector, which they say is pushing the cost of living up. Leadership Movement President Dr. Richard Silombe is disappointed that government has failed to subsidize the cost of fuel, hence the prices of the commodity continuing to increase, thereby pushing the cost of production upwards. Dr. Silombe told a media briefing in Lusaka Saturday that the United Party for National Development UPND government is doing the same things that compelled Zambians to vote out the Patriotic Front. Meanwhile, Citizens First Party President Harry Kalaba has predicted that the year 2023 will be difficult for the majority poor Zambians as ZESCO increases energy tariffs.
The United Party for National Development Administration leadership is being tested as the year 2022 is coming to a close, with its critics challenging the government to abide by its campaign pledges to realize a better Zambia. Questions arise from government's delay to deliver farming inputs and the ever-increasing cost of living owing to the alleged failure to put in place favorable policies to cushion increased cost of fuel and electricity in the country. Leadership Movement Party President Dr. Richard Silombe is of the view that the government has failed to subsidize the cost of fuel, a move he said will condemn more people into poverty. He says the United Party for National Development government is not serving the interests of Zambians, as allegedly seen in the failure to implement pro-poor policies.
Many of the things that go on in the chain of production, they depend on fuel and also depend on electricity as well. So this is hampering productivity in the country at large. The issue of electricity, again, it has been something that we have been talking about, not only in this government, but also in the previous government. But we expected a government, especially an opposition that has been here for more than 23 years, in opposition, to strategize and ensure that once they come into power, they arrest the problems that the country is facing and be able to ensure that they recover the economy from electricity crisis. But what have we seen from the New Dawn government is literally nothing, no agenda, continuing with the same situation, no productivity, privatization, nothing, all consumption.
Meanwhile, citizens faced party president Hali Kalaba questioned whom the government is serving if it cannot safeguard the plight of the poor and small businesses in the country, as he condemned intentions to effect new electricity tariffs next year amid the increasing cost of fuel.
Even as government is proposing cost-reflective tariffs starting January, I think government must proceed again cautiously, because right now the burden is heavy on the Zambian people. The burden that the Zambian people are going through in the energy sector, as you've seen, every month, just yesterday, or the other day, they were increasing the price of petrol and fuel. That burden is being passed on to the consumer, which is you and I. At the end of the day, the salaries have remained stagnant. Government must begin feeling for its citizens. They should not behave like proper businessmen who don't care about the suffering of the people. Electricity is what people survive on. People have got barber shops, people have got saloons, people have got, and they're making their living out of those small enterprise. So if government cannot cushion those, who are they going to cushion?
The opposition leader further predicted that the year 2023 will not be easy for Zambians. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
A 28-year-old woman of Lusaka's Kanyama compound is nursing serious injuries after her 41-year-old husband, identified as Akim, allegedly assaulted her. In an interview with Camnet, the distressed mother of two has opted to remain unknown, says her husband, a general worker, resorted to hitting her with a fist after she questioned him of his infidelity. She, however, claims to still love her abusive husband. More in this report.
While gender-based violence is being frowned upon more and more, most women in the compounds of Lusaka continue to be victims. This 28-year-old mother of two is a victim of violence. Her 41-year-old husband, identified as Akim, allegedly abused her physically after stumbling on romantic text messages between her husband and his side chick. The victim, who resides in Lusaka's Kanyama compound, decided to confront her husband as she was unable to contain the feeling of betrayal, whose proof was the long thread of messages.
Akatuma kungo katinga palasti ndiye mwina ichompolera foni yawo ichi no ikwira umanja atuma na muyanga aikatinga so ndiye mwana ambiro ulembera ma message ya face ananemba uti imwe baki wae mukondo nisoberesa ya namba 2 anapola alembati elo simuziwa imwe baki mwenenzo kukondelani ya namba 3 elo chankala chironda chikuru kuli ine bibemwa ni chita ya namba 4 anapola akamba uti simungakando uti mukazi wano mnamubweza so ndiye ma message ayina stabanje ayina peza.
In most cases, when one is caught cheating by their spouse, they tend to be more remorseful of their action. However, this was not the case, as her husband Akim, a general worker, allegedly started hitting her on the right side arm. He turned her into a full-time housewife and stopped her from working. The other reason is also said to have given for allegedly abusing her was that she advised him to look after his old mother instead of wasting his hard-earned money on other women. But the advice did not sit well.
Reason evana kambamo mina inakangiwa kuista understand. Banakamba chekuti nenzo tanda wala pankani yawa mai wao nenzo kamba wati wai mumafuna ma girlfriend wa mai wani wo vutika chawama zijendra mai mpasira girlfriend magwira amai vanhu matresi loko mablanket so ameneyo inakambapo iyo hatinatukwana amai vavo ine ungala na veve nenzofuna manje veve sivanifuna so monkalira na veve naine munikanga kali muntu wakuti sakufuna sungamupatikize mumuna kuti nifune eva akukana.
By broadcast time, this reporter was unable to get through to Mr. Akim to get his side of the story, as he was not reachable. However, Camnet TV is keenly following up the case. The woman has reported the case to the police. Meanwhile, a human and women's rights advocate has urged women across the country to stand up for their rights and be financially independent. Zambia, like the rest of the world, is still observing 16 days of activism against gender-based violence on women and girls from the 25th of November to the 10th of December.
Let's stand up for our rights. Let's use these 16 days of gender activism so that we end the vice of gender-based violence. It's very painful to see the cases of gender-based violence rising in Zambia. There is a need to empower more women to end this problem so that if the women then can stand on their own and be able to support their children and families, I think that can be better to women.
Violence against women continues to be an obstacle to achieving quality development, peace, as well as the fulfillment of women and girls' human rights. All in all, the promise of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, to leave no one behind cannot be fulfilled without putting an end to violence against women and girls. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A traditional leader has challenged the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development to engage traditional leaders on the implementation of the Constituency Development Fund (CDF). Chief Wundawunda of the Soli people of Rufunsa district tells Camden News that traditional leaders are major custodians of rural development. Hence, the ministry needed to meet them to discuss how the CDF can be effectively implemented. And the traditional leader feels most cooperatives in his chiefdom will not benefit from CDF because most of them do not know how to write a constitution for a cooperative.
Constituency Development Fund, CDF, is the highly publicized and politicized government policy being used as a vehicle to steer development in the Zambian communities. In the 2022 national budget, the fund was upscaled to 25.7 million kwacha from 1.6 million kwacha and subsequently 28.3 million kwacha for the year 2023. But Chief Wundawunda of the Soli people of Rufunsa district has criticized the government for not doing enough apart from just telling people to form cooperatives in order to benefit from CDF. He feels only a few knowledgeable people are benefiting from CDF funds, further stating that the move undermines commitment to promote financial inclusion.
There's a concept that we are saying financial inclusion. But in practical terms, there's financial exclusion. Because the people that can only access finance are people like you. But what about the one who is selling fritters on the market? What about the one who is selling tomatoes at the market? How is that person going to access finance? Okay? How is that person going to access finance in order to improve the business from ordering a box of tomato to reach to the point of trying to process? Just to move in the business now, trying to process, to add value in the production chain. So how are we going to move towards that? So since those people cannot get money from the banks, because the banks, they would want the surety, they want what? So these constituency development funds, which the president actually has increased from 1.6 to 25.7, now is 28, which is a plus. That is the money those community people now will get and try to improve their businesses.
The traditional leader is also disappointed that the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development has not taken time to consult and engage traditional leaders on how they can collectively facilitate development in the rural areas. He has questioned how the government intends to develop rural areas without the full involvement of chiefs in the country.
Of local government and rural development should have looked into. Equally, the minister should have even gone around the country asking the chiefs, what are the problems you have seen with the CDF, so that you get the problems from the horse's mouth. What is it that is causing all these problems? You can know properly if you go around visiting the chiefs. And you are a minister of local government and rural development. The bigger chunk of the land in this country belongs to the chiefs. So why not visiting the chiefs? You are their minister. Visit them. You even hear their problems that they are having. And by hearing their problems that they are having, you even hear the problems of why the CDF is.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
You're watching Camnet Television Main News. We'll go for a break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
You know I can take her a break.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
A falcon, known for flying high speeds, unmistakably grace and flying incredible long distances. Falcon Express is equal to the task with your deliveries. Friendly and reliable, a company that cares for you, local and international coverage, company that empowers its customers on time, every time, all the time. Nationwide delivery.
Send your parcel through Falcon Express to Mongu, KABWE, Ndola, Kapiri, Kitwe, Chingola, Chipata, Livingstone, Mazabuka, Kasama, Solwezi, Kalumbila, Chililabombwe, Luansha, Kalulushi. Get in touch with us on +260 971 130 766 and drop your parcels at Falcon Express. Falcon Express. Your parcels are safe with us.
Good news, good news. The rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generation wealth is the way to go. Has grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years for sale at only 90 kwacha each, and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours, Monday to Friday, at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, opposite Hilltop Hospital.
Welcome back. We continue with our news. As Zambia joins the global community in commemorating the International Day for Persons with Disabilities, New Foundation for the Blind in Zambia Executive Director Peter Wale has challenged government to take an interest in addressing challenges affecting persons with cross-cutting disabilities in the country. The theme for this year's commemoration is Digital Inclusions for Persons with Disabilities, a Must. And Mr. Wale, who is also the chairperson for the organizing committee for the International Day for Persons with Disabilities, has advised government institutions and agencies against relegating disability issues to the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities.
When you look at the challenges that ZAPID is facing, it is not because of the operations at ZAPID, no. Yes, they can have some challenges here and there, because all the people who are working there, they're just human. But the major thing is the lack of implementation of including, like I can say, taking disability as a cross-cutting issue. The ministries, and the people who are implementing the policies in these offices, the ministries, they are not able, they have not understood exactly to say that persons with disabilities don't belong to ZAPID. They belong to Zambia. And when they need the services, they should not send them to ZAPID. What they should do is to give them the services. For instance, if I need land, I go to Ministry of Lands, and then I'm told I should go to ZAPID. ZAPID doesn't own any land. Look at the CDF. Some people are saying that people should go to NTD. NTD, which is National Trust for persons with disabilities. But I'm applying for CDF. Why should I be told to go to NTD? There's no reason. The reasoning there is very bad, because as a citizen, I need to benefit from all the ministries as long as they are the ones who are providing that particular service or products.
The National Union of Private and Public Educators in Zambia, NUPEZ, has called on government to inject more funds in the Natural Resources Development College, NRDC. In an interview with Camnet News, NUPEZ General Secretary Nelson Mwale says the college is one of the few that can contribute in revamping the agriculture sector. He has appreciated the political will exhibited by government on reforms of the school curriculum.
Appreciate the curriculum reforms that are coming in the education sector, and we want to take this opportunity to call upon the new donor administration to invest a lot in the Natural Resources Development College, NRDC, so that at the end of the day we have a lot of agricultural courses being provided at the Natural Resources Development College, because at the end of the day this is one of the few colleges that will help us revamp agriculture, And we appreciate the political will that the government has shown through His Excellency the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, on reforms of the curriculum, because we will talk much about our education, but without reforming the curriculum, there's nothing that we will achieve. So we are calling upon, government to ensure that these colleges offering agriculture are all, revamped generally, so that at the end of the day, we take away that mentality of our graduates of depending much on white-collar jobs. Can we so look at agriculture as a key area that can improve the Zambian economy? Of course, with much attention on ICT and entrepreneurship, so that at the end of the day, the dependence on white-collar jobs is gotten rid of.
As the country marks the 16 days of gender activism, the non-governmental Gender Organization Coordinating Council has observed the need to enhance funding for the gender division so that it can champion the mainstreaming of gender issues in the country. NGOCC Executive Director Anne Anamela tells Camnet News that awareness creation is vital to making sure that all spheres of society embrace gender issues in the country. Meanwhile, NWASCO Public Relations and Communications Manager Mpunga Sumukwai says the organization has taken a proactive approach to promote gender issues in the water sector. She says that the organization has developed a gender and HIV mainstreaming toolkit, which is meant to strengthen the capacity of service providers to incorporate gender and HIV issues in their operations. Gender mainstreaming involves the integration of a gender perspective into the preparation, design, implementation, monitoring and evaluation of policies, regulatory measures and spending programs, with a view to promoting equality between women and men and combating discrimination. Here's a report.
The fight for gender equality has been a long and fulfilled pursuit, and as the country observes the 16 days of gender activism, the Zambian government and non-state actors are being reminded to take note that awareness creation and advocacy must remain an ongoing agenda.
16 days of gender activism mwiziro. Gender activism at Nchichana.
If we still have many Zambians who do not know much or anything about gender, how can the fight be won? Annie Anamela is the non-governmental gender organization's coordinating council executive director. She notes that awareness remains vital if Zambia is to win the gender fight. She tells Camnet TV News that now that the country does not have a specific ministry for gender, which was relegated to a gender division, mainstreaming gender issues in various sectors that are male-dominated will not be an easy undertaking, but emphasized on the need to embrace the strategy towards realizing gender equality in the country.
One sector, and gender is not a sector on its own. It's about everything. Everything that we do has a gender dimension to it. Agriculture, health, education, everything has a gender dimension. And one of the issues we've mentioned, which is very cardinal, is the fact that we had a ministry. We don't have a ministry anymore. We have a division. So what needs to be done, because the division is what we have now, is to ensure that that division is empowered to influence all the government departments around ensuring that gender is mainstreamed in everything that they do, whether it's in tourism, agriculture, across the sectors. That division needs to be empowered.
Engineering-based sectors, such as the water sector, are usually male-dominated. We spoke to the National Water Supply and Sanitation Council, NWASCO, to understand what they are doing to promote gender issues in the water sector among the 11 water utilities which they supervise. Mpunga Simukwai is the NWASCO Public Relations and Communications Manager.
So as NWASCO, we have gone ahead in 2018. You may wish to know that we developed a toolkit. We are calling it the Gender, HIV and Mainstreaming Toolkit, which essentially is meant to strengthen the capacities of the service providers under our mandate on issues of mainstreaming gender, and ensure that issues of gender are mainstreamed at every level, be it at budget level. We expect that each utility will have a budget that is dedicated to issues of gender, to issues of HIV. We want to ensure that a policy is in place. And so all these aspects are ranked, and then the utility that performs the best gets awarded during this sector report. So as a regulator, we are ensuring that there's inclusivity, nobody's left behind based on their gender or health status.
The 16 days of gender activism is being marked under the theme Unite Activism to End Violence Against Women and Girls. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
I apologize for some poor audio in that report. We'll take a break. We'll be back with international news after the break.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
A falcon, known for flying high speeds, unmistakably grace and flying incredible long distances. Falcon Express is equal to the task with your deliveries. Friendly and reliable, a company that cares for you, local and international coverage. Company that empowers its customers on time, every time, all the time. Nationwide delivery.
Send your parcel through Falcon Express to Mongu, KABWE, Ndola, Kapiri, Kitwe, Chingola, Chipata, Livingstone, Mazabuka, Kasama, Solwezi, Kalumbila, Chililabombwe, Luansha, Kalulushi. Get in touch with us on +260 971 130 766 and drop your parcels at Falcon Express. Falcon Express. Your parcels are safe with us.
Good news, good news. The rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generation wealth is the way to go. Has grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years for sale at only 90 kwacha each, and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours Monday to Friday at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill opposite Hilltop Hospital.
And now in international news, residents of Monrovia weigh in on the fact that Liberia's President George Weah has been out of the country for a month and is expected to continue his travels for the next 2 weeks. Critics have slammed the president for abandoning his duties and going to Qatar to watch his son play in the World Cup, but there are mixed reactions on the streets of Monrovia. Meanwhile, Kigali held the 8th edition of the Mashariki African Film Festival this week. This is the largest film festival in the country and aims to showcase Rwandan filmmakers, but also from Africa in general. For this and other stories, here's more in international news.
The residents of Monrovia are weighing in on the fact that Liberia's President George Weah has been out of the country for a month and is expected to continue his travel for the next 2 weeks. Some believe this is a good moment for him to solicit funds for the country, while some oppose it.
So I'm very happy of him being out of the country and trying to render services to the Liberian people, gathering funds out there to make Liberia a better place to live.
The time the president stay out of the country, actually with this arena we're in, I'm against it. The reason very simple. He was elected to serve the nation. And besides that, we are into a crucial arena where we're heading to election, to national election next year.
Critics have slammed the president for abandoning his duties and going to Qatar to watch his son play for the US in the World Cup. His government is also grappling with the troubles of pre-election census scheduled for 2023, where he has been nominated by his party as a candidate for his own succession. Kigali held the 8th edition of the Mashariki African Film Festival. This is the largest film festival in the country and aims to showcase Rwandan filmmakers, but also from Africa in general. Emphasis this year was placed on films that question gender relations with the theme of Afrofuturism.
The
This year's theme is Afro-Futurism, so it's about encouraging young directors, producers to have the idea of creation, to reinvent stories, to show a new Africa, different from the image that people have of Africa, a poor Africa. For 1 week, the 72 films in competition at the Mashariki Festival were screened in a cinema in the center of Kigali. The screenings were free to the public. Rwanda cinema is just starting out on the international scene. What is interesting when you are at the beginning is that there is still everything to do, everything to tell. You can create rich stories that are there, that are rooted, that exist. With the culture here, the traditions of yesteryear, and the modern approach of Rwanda creators.
Actually, we used to see those white peoples are the one who is doing some movies. We do going to see their movies. We like it, then we like ours. But for now, we do like the movie from black peoples too.
On the closing occasion, 3 films were awarded in the professional film category. 4 students also received a jury prize.
It's now time for sports news. And in sports news tonight, the Netherlands survived a late scare against the United States to move into the World Cup quarterfinals with a ruthless display of finishing. The US had the game's biggest early chance when Christian Pulisic was denied by the legs of Dutch goalkeeper Andries Noppet, and the failure to take that opportunity proved highly expensive. Louis van Gaal's side responded in the pay, crowned a magnificent 21-pass move by turning in Denzel Dumfries' cross. The US battled hard but lacked a cutting edge and were punished once more in a similar fashion with the final kick of the first half when Daley Blind arrived with perfect timing on the end of another Dumfries cutback. The Dutch were given anxious moments when the US put a goal back in the 76th minute as Haji Wright's freak deflection from Pulisic's cross looped in at the far post. But they restored their 2-goal lead 5 minutes later when creator Dumfries turned scorer, a side-footing in a volley at the far post from Blind's cross. That football note ends the news tonight, but before we go, the headlines once again. The enforcement of load shedding angers LUSAKA small-scale business owners. Opposition leaders accuse government of mismanaging the energy sector. Zambians mourn former KABWE Central Member of Parliament TUTWA NGULUBE. In international news, Liberian President George WEAH faces criticism over his 2-month-long foreign trips. And in sports news, Netherlands beat USA to book quarterfinal place. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from Matthew 3, verse 8 to 9. Therefore, produce fruit consistent with repentance, and don't presume to say to yourselves, we have Abraham as our father.